Okay, this is our first lesson on crime and deviance, so a quick introduction. We're going to learn the meanings of these two concepts, crime and deviance. You already think you know what this means. This you'll need to relearn, but even what you think about this is probably not entirely correct. To learn the meaning of these two concepts, to understand that deviance is part of culture, and in fact so is crime. Deviance is part of culture. You must know the culture first before you can figure out what is criminal and what is deviant. By doing that, you're developing your sociological brain. Keywords: laws, legal values, norms. You know what, hopefully by now you know what these means. Values are big ideas, think are important. Norms are little everyday rules that flow from the values. People's status, time and place, adapt, change, Aztecs. What we today call Mexico. Okay, so what is a crime? A crime is when somebody breaks the law. So this is shoplifting. It is a crime. It's breaking the law. It's theft. This guy has smashed in someone's car and stolen a computer. Theft, crime for definite. This guy is dressed as a pantomime thief, he's stolen some money, some cards. But what are these people doing? Is it a crime? Or does it depend? Got back to that in a minute. So a crime is when you break the law. What is a law? A law is a written rule. Doesn't exist in the same way that gravity exists. A law is a written rule, written by us. It leads us to. So how do certain actions become crimes? How did this become a crime? Yeah. At some point, as a group, we somehow decided that certain things, certain actions are so serious, we're going to write it down. We're going to say, you shouldn't do that. And we think that so strongly, we're going to actually write a rule called a law to say you can't do that. And along with that goes a punishment for continuing to do it. That's how actions become crimes. We think that is so serious, we've got to do something about it. We've got to write a law. And to a Marxist, they look at our laws and say, well, this is all about private property. Yeah. Let's say this woman needs these pants, right? And she's taking them because she needs them. The law protects the bourgeoisie, protects the middle class, protects the owners. So to a Marxist, the law is just a protection for the middle class, for the bourgeoisie. In particular, they'd say, think about private property. How can property be private? They talk about false consciousness. Marxists would say, well, they've somehow convinced everybody else that property can be owned and it can't be taken. Feminists would look at our laws and would look for sexist stuff. They'd look for evidence of patriarchy. So they'd noticed that until quite recently, a man could not have been prosecuted for raping his wife. It was not possible to be a crime. Why not? Men write the laws. Men control. Men have hegemony. Remember that word? So, what is deviance? Deviance is when you break the rules of the culture. And it's all to do with context. This picture again. People in the nude playing volleyball. This is deviant and sometimes criminal in certain contexts. It means the background. So this is not criminal or deviant because they are doing this in a sort of nudist colony. If you walk down the street naked, deviant, people think you're breaking the rules of our culture, you shouldn't be naked in public. Nudist colony, not deviant. Being nude at school, deviant. Being nude in the shower, sensible. It's not the action. It's not the being naked, it's the where and the when. And we call that context. More that in class. So, why are certain behaviours deviant and others are not? How can you get in this now? It depends on the culture. If something is deviant, that depends on the culture. So, the Aztecs, what today called Mexico, practiced large-scale human sacrifice. Thousands of people a year, at least one a day. This is the evening sacrifice. They would not have thought this was strange or deviant or criminal, because in their culture it is normal. It's what you do. So why are certain behaviours deviant and others are not? It depends on the culture. Slightly more obvious one for today. If you go to Pakistan, weed is legal. Alcohol illegal, weed legal. Yeah. For cultural reasons. So we'll have a look at some. This is a classic essay. Discuss how far sociologists would agree that crime and deviance are the same in every culture. Of course, you wouldn't. They're different in every culture. So you'd say, well, crime is a written rule, deviance breaks an unwritten rule, the rules and norms of the culture. In class, we will talk about this in more detail, and this will be a classic essay. If this came up in the exam, a very, very easy essay.